war, now we have a government that is running. So maybe once bitten, twice shy.
True. That's why I said if they were to do it, they would have done it immediately then. And they wouldn't be maybe judged as now. Because what happened there, what you see on the screen, happened about, I think, 4 months ago. Yeah, then if you bring it in the election period, when some of these players are being nominated, like Nobian Lee, the kind of Mufumbira, now it becomes suspicious. Why didn't you act then?
You want to believe the intelligence hasn't followed since then? That I saw you, I just gave it time, I will follow you up until I can be able to nab you. Isn't that the case that we could be seeing right now?
Definitely, now that is the carelessness of the intelligence and also the wisdom. Because still, wait, maybe they get nominated, then you act after. But they should have acted immediately. So right now, whatever action is suspicious. And you said it rightly, they don't want, because of the fear, the present government came into, the present party came into government with intimidation. Of course, they use the military tactics. So they think every other person could use it, and they know that's the only possible way. They know because but now, since it's a period of election, and remember, this is what they've been advocating for all the 40 years, then they should respect. I know it is going to be a comedic period because really election don't change anything here in Africa, and they know it, but then why act now if basically they are unpacking their script?
They would also ask you, why would you have wanted them to act then and not right now?
Definitely then, any
because it would still have been spoken against. It would still have been something that is...
but it wouldn't be as suspicious as now, because then every action, then the due process would have been followed, and someone is given chance, then maybe what you're doing is you're seen to be hindering someone. Like, for example, the case of Kizza Besigye. All of us analysts, the international community is just seeing someone, you fear someone's candidature. And
but you see, it was done much earlier, like you're saying. It was done much earlier, but still the suspicion grows. So whether then or now, it seems like there is no difference in suspicion on the motive behind the arrests.
Yeah, true. But you see, like I'm telling you, in the kind of Kizza Besigye, they did it earlier, and I think they were, I would give it credit, because in their mischief, now many of the Ugandans don't think they even believe them, because they did it earlier. And that's why you see many Ugandans are gullible. Besigye is in prison and they think he should be there, because then they did a good script. But this one, and remember right now, when you see for the NUP, people are saying, no, this is suspicious. But both acts are criminal, and it is really sad if it is being done by this, especially this NRM government. These are criminal acts, and I think they should discourage.
Are you totally exonerating the side being arrested? Because if it would be a court case, the prosecution would say there is enough evidence if there are particular laws and guidelines that are supposed to be followed, and you've totally gone against them, and there is an arrest that is taken. Do you totally exonerate one side and you keep pinning the other one? No,
I don't, because I really condemned the Kavule things, and I said, I think it was on this TV, these issues can escalate a genocide in this country if they are not addressed. And indeed, for me, I wanted an action then. So everything had to be clear. But also, when you see what these people are doing, is more like I've told you, a Boy Scout thing. And if the attention, if they had been maybe stopped at that time, this wouldn't be escalating. And right now, you see, they desisted from the act when they were brought into action. But right now, what they are doing is really going to be suspicious.
But if you talk about stopping, you've seen the whole conversation around berets, you've seen the conversation about the use of particular attire that the army, for example, has said belongs to them. Don't you think then it had clearly been shown that they started a little bit earlier to try and do the clampdown? And do you think it is intended and targeted to weaken the opposition?
Definitely, because these, like you see those red uniforms, and it's not the national army. Like I've told you, that's why for me I call them like Boy Scouts. The national army, we saw it in action. Let's say, for example, in Zimbabwe and several other areas during and even killings, recorded killings by the national army. And we haven't seen any action. Then we see action of these Boy Scouts. Every Ugandan will be suspicious. If you bring to me the same arrests of these, most of the generals, the army generals who killed in the NRM primaries are leaving. Even the tribunal hasn't brought a case where it's ruling against violence. So every Ugandan would be suspicious at this point to see that you didn't act when the national army caused violence. Then you are telling us of issues of Boy Scouts and what? And then you are acting right now in an election period.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I did earlier on inform you that I am not only with Professor Bargayomwe, I did promise that we would be having Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi as well, and he has definitely joined us right now, the new Deputy President for Buganda Region. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, it's a pleasure having you, and a very good morning.
I'm morning to you all, and morning to all Ugandans.
Oh, right. As you did stream in, we were having a conversation about the arrests that are ongoing. Some have been alleged or been called abductions of particularly the opposition. And in most of the cases, it's the National Unity Platform members that are affected. How far has this gone, and how are you dealing with it as the political party?
First and foremost, you need to analyze and see, is this a one-off? Mm-hmm. Is it something that usually happens as we go towards an election? I've spoken about the Holy Trinity of the NRM.
The Holy Trinity? The
Holy Trinity. How NRM goes about its politics. It is anchored first on vote rigging. Okay? You rig the whole process. The president has just finished what he has been calling the PDM tours. Literally, he has gone through a national campaign. And you are going to give presidential candidates nomination from December to January. You have the composition of the Electoral Commission and everything else. We are still not so sure what the impact of the so-called electronic voting is going to be. You can't be so sure about that. So rigging is part of the NRM DNA. The second DNA of NRM is voter. I will end with the one that I'm going to discuss, but I'll be brief on the other one, is voter bribery. Literally, it goes out of its way to bribe voters. The last one, of course there's a fourth, but I moderate the three. The last one is vote intimidation, coercion, using its monopoly of, because you are in power, you have the monopoly of violence. You are the one in charge of the army, in charge of the police, in charge of all other security apparatus are there. Mm-hmm. You deploy them in a political posture to achieve political ends. So it happened to FDC when it happened, we had Chiboko Squad, we have Kalangal Action Plan, you can say every election there is an outfit that is out there. I may not know the name. Every election there is an output. One day we had Kakoza Mutala and his band, the Yellow Brigade. How different is it? It was moving on the street with the band, with beating people up. So this is what NRM, NRA, UN 7's politics is about. It's about intimidation. So
yes.
Therefore, disheartening as it is what it is. It is what NRM is about. It's about, it is script. It is a normal script. Every election, you will have that kind of, for whatever excuse they will give you.
Let me get to the first one on the scripts that you're talking about, which is more about the power of incumbency. If you're talking about the president's...
No, it's not about, it's about ideological...